Welcome everyone to Two Dudes in a Cage. I'm Matt, and we're with.
I'm Charles Clark.
And today we have a very special guest. We have Tim Bazer. He's a fighter, a coach, a gym owner, and an owner of Omaha Fight Club. He has a career in MMA spanning over 20 years with fights in numerous promotions, including Bellator. His Omaha Fight Club promotion is the longest MMA promotion in the Midwest and has a card coming up on September 2nd. Thank you for joining us, Tim.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Doing good. So first question is, since you've been doing MMA for over 20 years, how did you get your start?
Oh wow. It's so long ago. So I had heard rumors that this bar was holding fights. Like anybody could sign up. You just go into the bar, sign a release form, and you can fight. They didn't really give me details, but I'm a street fighter. And when I say street fighter, is like, I'd fight anybody, anywhere, anytime, for any reason. I was a knucklehead growing up, but I also grew up in a ghetto neighborhood that I had to fight to survive. So I grew up fighting. So I went to this bar. Me and my buddy went to this bar and walked in, and they had a ring, and it was packed. It was a bar, so like 200-300 people, and just surrounding this ring, and it was live. Like, it was crazy. People were like just fighting. They had some like weird MMA gloves on that just padded your knuckles. There wasn't even like so these days MMA gloves and those days MMA gloves are like totally different. But they had these little thin padded gloves that just covered your knuckles, and I just watched, and I was like, okay. And then towards the end of the night, it was starting to slow down. The fights were slowing down, and I jump in the ring, and I'm like, I'll fight anybody around 155 pounds. And the announcer was like, no, we don't have time to sign new guys up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, nah. He's like, we ain't got nobody. I was like, all right, I'll fight you. And he was like, oh, he started laughing, trying to make jokes out of it. I was like, look, I'm serious. I'll fight tonight, right now. And he was like, I'll tell you what, you come back next week and I'll lose 20 pounds and blah, blah, blah. He was just clowning and having fun with it. But I was serious. I felt it, But anyways, long story short, they didn't let me fight that night.
It's still an awesome story, man.
It's so
wild. I love it. I know that feeling you get though when you see it, yeah. And everyone's screaming your name, and there's all the people are watching you. It's like a feeling like no other. So I totally understand what you're saying.
It was just like something just came over. Like I said, I fight anybody, anywhere. There could be 2 or 3 of you. I would fight you. But the next week I go, and I had an abscess tooth where, it was pussing out, and like, man, I don't think it's smart to fight, So I go in, and I wasn't feeling it right away. So my brother went with me, and he was like, man, if you don't feel it, don't fight. I was like, man, I don't feel it. Like, there's nothing there. I just don't feel it. And my tooth's all jacked up, whatever. So the guy's on the mic, and he was like, remember that pussy bitch last week that called me out? He's scared. And I'm like, man, it doesn't matter what you do. I just don't feel it. Like, something over me wasn't there. So I opted out. I was like, well, I looked like a pussy, but I was okay with it because, the safety of myself. Now, if they would fight me out in the crowd, a totally different world. But it was a scheduled fight-ish. And so he called me a pussy and a bitch. So the next week I didn't go, because this was every Tuesday they had fights. Every single Tuesday they would pack the house. So the third week I go, and this 220-pound dude like saw me at the door walking in. He's like, "Hey, dude, I'm fighting that dude for you next week," and blah blah blah. I was like, "Nah, I'm fighting him tonight." So I felt it, you know. And we were in the main event, and I beat the fucking brakes off of that dude. I mean, beat the brakes off of him. Sent him to the hospital. It was and they were, because he was known for, that was his people, but I also knew a lot of people because, you know, running the streets, and they were chanting my name. They were chanting his name. They, you know, you felt the vibe. I mean, it was just like packed. Like nobody else could fit in the building. It was so packed. And I ended up sending him to the hospital. And like from that moment on, I knew it. I knew it. Like that was my life. So that's but we became really good friends after that. But that was my start, and I never turned back.
That's awesome, man. You just fell in love with it, huh?
I did. It was the crowd, the atmosphere, and the challenge of like setting that fight up versus just getting into a fight. It was amazing.
What year was that?
2001, January
2001.
or June 6th, June 5th, 2001.
Nice. Yeah. You've been in the game a long time, man.
Yeah.
Most people have come and gone in that span. You know, I'm sure you've seen MMA, the game as a whole, like change. You know,
Absolutely.
Man, it's grown so much and it's changed so much a bit. You know, from old school to new school, and man, is there anything you can share on that and that the evolution and the change you've seen during your career?
I
know that's kind of a weird question.
Well, it is, but it isn't. Like people who understand MMA today don't really understand MMA back then. Like there was hardly, like, the amateur level back then was just a promoter throwing a ring or a cage in the middle of a bar and letting anybody fight. No blood work, no ambulance there, no doctors there, nobody was looking out for you. There's been, like, I was involved in a couple of them, but there would be like, if you beat up a guy in the ring, his buddies were trying to jump in from the outside. Like it was it was like gladiator days. It was crazy. So, and like I said, there was no gyms. There was nobody training you. It was just the best of the best come in and fight that day and move, have a beer afterwards if you drank and whatever. Most of the people were drinking before the fight, before they even signed up.
Yeah.
Like it was just a whole different world back then that I knew, and I was like, that's what I was accustomed to starting off.
It was normal.
Now it's evolved so much that, it's hard to fight an untrained fighter because, the opportunity is there. I never had that opportunity. My opportunity was actually just fighting. Like you just go and fight. And,
right.
Best man win.
That's how you learned. That's how you got better.
Absolutely.
So
like now, you got your sanctioning bodies, your, people looking over, making sure all the rules are followed. And so it's a whole different world, man.
So would you compare like the early days to like boxing, how they have like smokers, or they just go
similar,
like...
very similar.
Okay.
Very similar.
And I know you mentioned that you guys would just come and sign up and fight. I know in your career you've had more than one fight on the same day. Or is it back in those days?
I fought 3 times in one night.
Wow.
Back in those days. I had, with my first year of fighting, I had 35 fights or 34 fights.
I can't imagine fighting multiple times in one night. I mean, even if I did good and won the fight in the first round, just having to go through all that again, and the anticipation and the walkout and I 3 times in one night. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about. That old school. You just come from that old school. It's just a different mentality. The type of person that was fighting back then is just it's different. It's just so
way different.
Yeah. I love it. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, fighting 3 times in night. I never I didn't know any different. Like I was just a fighter. That was my life. Is like, okay, next guy signs up. Cool. I'm ready. You know, and it really wasn't because it was a bar, there wasn't that long walkout or you got to pick your music or, it wasn't that organized to where it was just like this guy versus this guy, get him in the ring, introduce him, and away we go. So fighting multiple times in one night, it was pretty, common for some of us. There wasn't enough fighters, so the same guy would fight a couple times, and surprisingly, they saw the first 2 dudes get beat up, and they want to try their skill level, and then they get beat up too. So it was back then, like I said, it was totally different world, but there wasn't a lot of rules either. I mean, you really couldn't headbutt, eye gouge, and fish up.
Which is the basic ones, yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, literally
anything was game.
Yeah. They had those little minor rules that, ain't gonna get you in too much trouble. I saw soccer kicks. I saw people being thrown out of the ring. It was just crazy.
Man, I've seen some. I've been to a lot of live events, most of them amateur. I've seen some really crappy cages in my day. I've seen guys practically break the cage back. I saw one guy who got picked up and his head got cut, the back of his head got cut wide open from
the cage.
From the cage. Yeah. They called the fight because it was so bad. It was a no contest, but man, I've seen just the conditions they fought in and
well, there was no blueprint, there was no rules. People just went off of what they thought was right. It wasn't. I don't know. I don't fault the promoter because I was one of those promoters. I did not know anything once I started promoting. I built my own cage without even a blueprint. I didn't know anything. I just kind of went off what I learned in the past. It was I don't want to do that. I'll use this, and we'll just kind of go from there. So I don't fault those things. I mean, those things happen. So it's people are like, oh my God, I would have never fought back then. No, you wouldn't have because you're a pussy.
Yeah, right. I love it.
So with your long career, what do you think would be your most memorable moment? If you retired today, what would be the most memorable thing in your
I don't want to retire today.
You got a lot of fight left in you, so
yeah, I got a little bit. My most memorable moment was definitely my first fight. I mean, if that didn't get me started, I don't know where I would be today working for the guy, I guess. That sounds so boring, but I have so many in the fight game, we got Nebraska sanctioned. I have 132 events in Nebraska. I didn't have a blueprint. I started when there was the warrior, days. I don't know. There's so many memorable moments. As far as fighting, I'm just a fighter, so they all blend in. Fighting multiple times in one night. I don't have a specific moment that if you said, hey, what's your moment, like you did, I don't have one that just says that was it, because it's the whole thing, just knowing where I came from and kind of where I'm at right now. That's the moment. Some people are like, oh my God, I fought on the card with this guy. I fought on a card with See, and they don't mean that much to me. Is my point?
You fought James Krause, right?
I did fight James Krause,
nice.
and I was winning that fight, and he. So we were in South Dakota, and it was during Sturgis week, and it was amazing. It was amazing. What the plan was, I guess, is every night they were going to have fights, and they were going to have every weight class was a tournament. So you were competing every night, multiple times a night to get seeded in this tournament, and then you were going to fight in the tournament, and best man wins. Well, I came in at 152. No, 151. I came in at 151 on Sunday, and they were starting the fights on Monday. I'll never forget this. So the promoter gave me an opportunity to drop to 45, and I could have done it. It was like, all you have to do is make 46. I was like, that's 5 pounds. I can do it in the next 3 hours. Not a big deal. So I had a choice. Do I give up the weight and fight at 55 or cut down? But the issue is there wasn't a lot of fighters at 45, and I wanted to fight every night. There was a little bit more fighters at 55. So I'm like, look, I'll fight 55. The issue was you only had to weigh in once all week long. So James was in an actual gym at that time. I don't remember what gym, but he was in an actual gym, and I was just freely fighting. This is all pros. And so we go down there, and I was like, you know what? I don't care to lose the weight. I looked at all the roster. I'm like, man, I don't think anybody, I want the tough guys. So I stayed at 55, and he had cut from 70 to 55. And he would, every time he would, we didn't get matched up right away. So he would come out, and I'd smoke my guys, and he would pretty much smoke his guys. He would be wearing his glasses and his cell phone, walking out like and it was entertainment. He was just being cool. And so I'm like, man, I hope he walks out like that with me. And this was the last night. So we had both pretty much made it to the finals. And he didn't come out like that. He didn't come out like that, which I was like, okay, he respects me. He knows what he's up against, I guess. He respected me. He didn't do that, which was kind of threw me off because I was hoping he would do that to fire me up a little bit, because I don't like cocky people. I always beat up bullies. You know what I'm saying? I hate cocky people. And he didn't act cocky, so it kind of threw me off. But we went out there and we were slugging. I was beating him standing up, and I think somehow he pulled guard or something, and I was holding him up against the cage, and I'd hit him a couple of times, and the ref's like, if you don't advance your position, we're going to stand you up. I was like, well, he ain't advancing his position, so you might as well just stand us up. And I'm on top. So I'd say this to the ref. I was like, you might as well just stand us up. I'm not going to let this guy move. You know what I'm saying? I know he's a trained fighter. And I wasn't trained. I just fought in the ring, I had a few pro fights, but I still was not in a gym yet. And we stood up, we're banging it out again, and we clinched up again, and he threw up a flying triangle that I'd never seen in my life. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? And he was like, and I was like, dude, you got to tell me what that was.
Took you by surprise.
He just surprised me. There's no way, if I would have known that, back in those days, you was not going to be able to do that to me, because I would be prepared for that.
Right.
But he caught me, nice little flying triangle, and I tapped out, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, we were friends after that. He wasn't like that cocky dude that I thought he was. You got to be confident, and he was just an entertainer at that time, and he had fun.
That's awesome. I've always liked that about fighting, where I've kind of made Facebook friends with the people I fought, and kind of kept in touch with them afterwards.
Right.
I like that about fighting. I think that's cool.
Yep.
feel like you guys share something, so you're already drawn closer. Do you think being a fighter has helped you build your promotion? Like, because you can see as a fighter what you don't like from other promotions, so you keep that out. Do you think that helps?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But 90% of the promoters out there are not fighters. They're businessmen.
Yeah.
So they're all about their money or their brand or whatever. If you go to most promotions, they're wearing a suit and a nice clothes. I wear regular clothes. I'm one of you guys. I'm a fighter first. So I look at it like, if I was a fighter, how would I want to be treated? And that's how I kind of run my promotion. I don't dress up and like be this like person I'm not, because I'm not that person. I don't want that image to be, Tim's this super businessman. Yeah, I'm a businessman, but I'm a fighter. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm giving this opportunity for you to be a fighter also, from a fighter's perspective and how you want to be treated. I've been to so many promotions, including Bellator, where I could not like stand how they treated you. Like, it was trash. Unless you're this big name selling them 1 million tickets and blah, 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 you're trash. And I couldn't, I can't live with that in my promotion. So absolutely, it makes a huge difference being a fighter and running the promotion.
I'll never forget a few years ago, they're no longer a promotion. I'm not going to drop any names, but there was another promoter in Nebraska, and he was talking a lot of shit on other promotions, and you called him out, and you're like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're like, you have a fight card coming up. Let's get in the cage. I'll meet you at 155 or 170. Never happened, but
no,
I would root for you.
Ryan Stoddard from Victory. I know who the hell you're talking about. Piece of shit. He's still a piece of shit. I wish I could put my hands on him. He's a prick. Like, he's just one of those arrogant, like, he was handed the business. It was like, regardless of if he ended up buying it or not, he was handed the business, which I'm okay with. Be in the right spot, the right time, be blessed. But he wasn't being blessed. He was just like, I'm the shit. Like, he talks shit to the fighters in the back. Now I'm like, dude, I will beat your ass. Like, I'm not that guy.
Right.
Don't talk shit to these fighters. They're not, they're doing you a favor. They're doing you a service. So don't try to be this arrogant prick. Oh man, I just can't. He fires me up. Anytime, anywhere, I'll beat his ass. So, but yeah, he fought at 45 and like made this ridiculous record up when he fought. He actually fought in his promotion once, and he was like, made this ridiculous record up that he was fighting, and he ended up winning. I was like, perfect opportunity. You got this record, I got this record, let's fight. But he never, ever wanted that smoke. There's just some guys doesn't matter. Anytime, anywhere.
So do you fight on the Omaha Fight Club events yourself?
So I have, and I will again. Like, it's not like I'll run the show and fight. Man. It's a little challenging, but I've done it for so long that it almost just runs itself.
Yeah, when you get to fight.
Yeah. So everything just runs smooth, and then I really just run the event until the third to the last fight or whatever, and then I'll go warm up.
Right. That's cool. So, you probably have the people in place that
I do
run the show.
I have a great team, so
yeah, that makes sense.
We do nothing but grow, which is amazing.
Most of the time, in my experience, what I've seen from Fight Club, it's like gym members, and they do like volunteer, and they'll set up and work security and things like that.
With that, I have a rule. If you're an active fighter, you can't work security, because now you feel in control, and like most of the amateurs anyway they can't fight, but they don't know control. They don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't just throw anybody in there. I make sure that like they don't have you know, that like puffy chest. I'm like, no, you're not. let's not mix business.
Right.
So you own your own gym, promotion, yes, and you're a fighter, and you also started doing kids MMA classes. What does it mean to you to introduce something that you love to a younger generation of potential fighters?
It's not that I've a kids MMA class. It's based on MMA, but I do an anti-bullying class.
Okay.
So they can grow from that class to the MMA classes and like one-on-ones and stuff like that. But my main thing is I hate bullies. Like when I was in school as a kid growing up, like I despised the tough guy. Like I went in there and challenged every one of them. Like that was my thing. Like, and I was tough, but I wasn't like, I wasn't, just that. I didn't let people get away with crap. All my friends were the underdogs, they grew up with, less than everybody else. And I didn't like anybody making fun of them or, treating them different. They're still human. So I always challenge those guys who cross that line. So my give back is to teach kids how to defend themselves, how to walk away when they can, how to stick up for themselves, doing the right thing, knowing that, that talk is just talk. We teach rear naked chokes. We teach, arm bars. We teach, how to throw punches and how to fall into safe positions and stuff like that. Where, I don't want to teach guys how to fight. If I feel like you're advanced in this class, I send you to our wrestling program. And I get that base first. I want you to have that wrestling base because I was a wrestler, street fighter. So I had that wrestling base where like I could fight. If I could fight on standing up or we go to the ground, I can fight there. So I figured, get that wrestling base is going to be key. Plus it teaches you, it's one-on-one and you're going to get your butt whooped and, you can come back from that, or you're getting whooped and you can come back. And, wrestling is it's just a whole different sport, especially growing up, where if I think like you're going to make it, like as an MMA person, I send you to the wrestling program and we base it off there. And then in the summers, you can come to, the MMA program. So we do a little bit of both. We start them off in the anti-bullying program and build them from there, but it's all based around MMA.
It's awesome.
It's good because kids are mean these days, and they know.
Yeah.
Like my 13-year-old, he's very passive, and he gets, he doesn't really get picked on, but it's because he's got family that works at his school.
Right.
And he's shorter, and I'm like, man. So I'd teach him like, look, if someone comes after you, take a step back, make sure I always like high guard. I know it's not the best, but it's always easier to go down than up. So,
well, I always say hit first, hit hard, and
ask questions later.
If you feel threatened, go ahead and fire off. We'll take care of business later. But I teach my guys like, look, if you absolutely cannot walk away for any reason, you feel like you're being threatened, go ahead and fire off, and just start swinging right to the face. I don't because I've learned like if me and you square up, it's just a matter of if one of us throws a punch.
Yeah. And
if one of us throws a punch, is the other person getting knocked out? I've seen so many one-punch knockouts that I'm not giving you that opportunity. If you threaten me, like I feel physically threatened, I'm firing off. There's no, and it's not because, I want to beat you up. It's because you threatened me, like you physically like were gonna hurt me, and I'm not doing that. I'm not taking that chance of waking up and be like, what if?
Yeah, no. You gotta be first.
Yeah, that's it. Just fire off first if you feel threatened. Like, words don't mean shit, but you know, if you get in my face and like you're puffing up, oh, I gotta fire off. I got it. And the bad thing about the bad thing about these days is, you know, like you get assault charges at 13. You know what? Take the assault charge. Take it. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll delete when you're 18, whatever.
It won't matter.
But right now, just, you know, handle business so the next person isn't going to bully you.
Yeah.
Period.
Otherwise, it'll keep happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just how it goes. You know. It's just...
And people feed off of that one way or the other. You know, like I bullied that kid. Oh, that felt good or whatever. You know, or you know what? That dude is not going to mess with that dude anymore.
So with that, you know, feeling threatened, sometimes it happens when you're in the cage, not feeling threatened, but, you know, odds are against you, back's against the wall. If you feel that you're, you know, down on the cards, what's your like go-to move?
Man, everything's situated. And I tell my guys this all the time. Everything is situational. I don't know where I'm at in the fight. I don't know what's going on. You know, is he a striker? Is he a grappler? Are we on the ground? There's so many scenarios that I can't actually answer that question. But my biggest thing is heart. And if I'm clear-minded, like I always think like, okay, you got yours. Now I have to get mine. And this fight isn't over until I get mine. Whether there's, you know, I'm like, you know, you try to calculate the time, but at the same time, you're like, you know what? Now's the time. You got to find that opening. You know, you've lasted this long. And sometimes it just turns into a defensive fight. And you're like, you know what? I probably lost this fight, but there's no way he's finishing me. So it's just a mind thing of saying, okay, this dude's a beast and he outclassed me today. Great. I'm going to survive this fight. I'm going to survive to the end. I'm not going to let him glorify a TKO or, you know, just throw an arm out there or whatever. There's some fights you're like, you know what? I'm not going the next 10 minutes like this. So, you know, if there's an opportunity and I'm really, really hurt, I gotta walk. And I've only done that once, which was my last fight. I fought that Anthony Martin dude from the UFC. And my goal was 1 round. Like I went in there on a 3 days notice to fight one of the top dudes in the world. He's a beast, 15-3 or something like that. He's at 185. I literally are walking around at 181. So he cut from he had to be 210, 220 when I fought him. He was huge. And my goal from the get-go was last 1 good round with him. And if my goal would have been last 2 rounds with him, I would have lasted 2 rounds with him. But I came into the second round and I'm like, all right. And he was talking back and forth. We were like, you know, jabbing at each other. And he was just like, you're a pussy. I'm like, dude, I took this on 3 days notice. I'm 45 years old. I'm a pussy, really? Because I'm like not letting him hit me. I'm like, okay, whatever. I was like, you're a black belt, can't submit me. Because in the first round, he was mounting me and he had side control and he couldn't submit me. So that's my go-to is like, whatever I feel is the right thing. I already said it in my head. It's like, you're not finishing me, you know, in the first round. So come second round, you know, we're going back and forth. I was like, you know what? In my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win this fight. So he's just going to keep trying to, you know, hit me, whatever. So I was like, I'll tell you what, Martin. I was like, I'm going to hit you one good time. I'm going to take you down. You're going to submit me. He was, because we were talking back and forth. And he was like, all right. So I fucking blasted him, did a shot, and he did an anaconda choke on me, which, you know, I'm okay with. Because I took the fight on 3 days notice. Not that I don't belong in the higher level, because I really feel like I do if I had a full fight camp. I'm not a 185er. I'm fighting one of the top dudes in the world. I'm not winning, you know, all the odds were against me, but my goal was set and I set it, you know, and I accomplished that goal. by lasting around with a black belt in jiu-jitsu and a top dude in the world. I'm okay with it, you know? So I was okay with getting out of that fight. Majority of the fight, so like I feel like I'm in it. Like, and if you're beating me up, I'll try to find that way. But it's a mental thing. Like it's finding that grit when you don't think you have it. That's what gets you through that fight.
Nice. How do you you know, obviously it's through your heart, but how do you do it? How does someone dig deep when they don't have the energy, when their cardio is gone? Is there a way to explain it besides just saying, you know, do it heart? Can you go into detail?
So I always use this example with my guys in the gym. I was like, big hearts that can't fight are just punching bags. Like literally, you're in there getting beat up because you have this heart of like, I'm not gonna fail. No, your face is. You're you're gonna get hurt. Like sometimes it's okay to know you were outbeat. You know, as a coach, you learn that. As a fighter, I had to learn that. But as a coach, you know, you don't want your guys just to get pummeled. I haven't thrown the towel in yet because as a matchmaker, I try to make sure all the fights are like as even as I can get them, right, you know, on both sides.
That's
so
good.
I guess it's all within the person and the situation makes sense too. Like, are they getting beat up standing up and they're just wobbling around a little bit and they're, you know, maybe they've concussed, so they don't really remember too much of it. Are they on the ground just getting pummeled and just surviving by holding on? Are they in the fight, you know, like holding on tight enough to where they're not getting pummeled, they're getting pummeled, they're not getting pummeled, they're surviving for that one chance. I've seen that. You know, I've seen somebody get beat up for 2.5 rounds and then win.
Last night, Kamaru Usman.
Yeah. So, but he was in the fight, you know, where he was losing, but he was in the fight. As far as like, I think you have to ask yourself, is it my reputation? Is it, you know, my fans? Is it, you know, what is holding on? Did I come in here and dedicate this fight to my grandma who just passed away? Yeah. You know, those are all inner demons that you have to fight. Also getting beat up, you know? So you can't really explain it because everybody has a different, you know, story. I don't know. For those guys who are always getting beat up, I don't know what's wrong with them. Maybe it's a mental thing. Like, maybe they should just retire. But, and on the flip end is, what's the matchmaker thinking? You know, what are you just putting this fight together to save tickets? Are you putting this fight together because it's an amazing fight? You know, I always look back at, how do you want your reputation? You know, like no different than that Victory dude. Like it was one-sided cards all the time. And every once in a while he'd have a good fight. But he never gave credit to where it was due. And he always had his favorite guys. And he always got his favorite guys easy wins. You know, so those guys who are just fighting to fight are just being thrown to the wolves. And I just can't stand it. But going back to the original, everybody has their mindset of saying why they survived that round or that fight. It's whatever they feel, you know, are they a pussy? You know, I did it because I'm not a pussy. Yeah, but you got beat up, you know? So sometimes I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. But for like somebody like me is like, I have a reputation of getting in there and fighting the best dudes. I only really want to fight the best dudes. I'm not saying I haven't fought lesser guys than me, but they're human. But it's no different than they're in my situation where I'm trying to fight the top dudes in the world. He's trying to fight top dudes. I'm one of he looks at me as a top dude, so he'll fight me. So I got to look at it everything. And why did you fight me? Why are you getting beat up? It's just your challenge. It's whatever you feel in your heart and your mind that is going to make you take that fight and go out there and fight.
Nice. I like it. Touch on something. Eric Haycraft, he runs Real Fighters out of Kentucky, kickboxing gym. He says you have to have 12 fighters to make a career, right? Four guys that are going to challenge you, 4 guys that you can beat that are cans, and 4 guys that are you 50-50 with, right? So you can kind of whoop a guy, you move up, you challenge yourself, you move down. And if you can't pick out those 12 fighters from your area, you either are in the wrong pool or you don't have a career. What do you think about that? Like, should a person have like a close to a dozen fights before going professional? It seems like a lot of people have 3 amateur fights and go pro nowadays. Do you think people should build their careers off of a mentality like that before jumping straight to professional?
So that is amazing that we have the same theory. Is as a matchmaker, I have lanes. So your beginner lane, your athlete lane, and your killer lane.
Yeah.
Like, so when I matchmake, I say stay in your lane. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to challenge yourself, make sure that they're on that border of, athlete, not great athlete, but an athlete, and not really a bum, but not really athletic. So ride that line, vice versa. That way, if you're ready to jump over. As far as a fighter wise, 12 fights. I had 35, but it was way back in the days I could fight every weekend. Not nowadays you can't. But I think every fighter is different. I think it starts where, are you in a gym? Are you taking it serious? Did you fight really good guys when you fought them? How was the challenge? Where are you at age-wise? Like, so all these things make a big difference. Here's the issue I face is managers and promoters. They have their favorite fighters, and there's cans out there and pro and amateur level that they're going to match these cans up with these guys they want to build over ticket sales, over athlete background, over popularity, or whatever it is. They're building their fighter. I don't like it. It happens in boxing on the lower level that nobody ever sees unless you've been to smokers and the lower level of professional boxing. I cannot stand it.
Fury.
Oh my goodness.
He fought a guy who's 3 and 110.
Yeah. And it happens all over the world. And it happens more often than people think. You think that this guy is really 17 and up. And he is, but 15 of his fights were against total cans.
Losing record, guys. Everyone you fought has a losing record.
Everybody. And not even close to like none of them together have more wins than you do. And you've only fought 17 times.
Yeah, right. And it shouldn't be like that.
Cody Garbrandt called out Thomas Almeida for that when they were fighting back in 2014. He said, "You fought taxi drivers. That's why you're 21."
Yeah. That happens all the freaking time, especially in third world countries.
Yeah,
but
Thailand is coming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so crazy, man. I can't stand it. Like, I'm not for, I'm a 50-50 fighter right now. And the reason is because I never trained for, I've had 3 fight camps out of 70 some fights, 3 fight camps. So I'm a 50-50 pro fighter, but I've also fight the toughest dudes, and I'm not they have 13-1 records, and I have, a 9-9 record or whatever it was. It's because I know who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he's building his off of, I'll fight this guy. He's not very tough. I was sliver close to beating you, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have just trained for 3 weeks, I would have beat you. So I know who I am. But like these other guys who are literally like go in there and take 3 punches and fall down, those are the guys you're fighting, building your career off of. And the promoters are letting you.
Yeah.
They're not looking at the challenge of saying, oh, Tim Bazer's really a challenge for this guy. Like, he's not he can't beat you, versus this other guy, it's so miserable. I can't. It gives me like anxiety just thinking about, how these guys are building their careers and actually believe in themselves. It's just amazing.
I agree with like confidence fights, but I feel like, maybe after a losing streak or your first one, I could see it. But when you're, 17-1 and you're still fighting guys who are, you could tell, lower level, or maybe not lower level, but like lower fight IQ, and you should be stepping your challenge up instead of staying at the same level.
It definitely goes.
That walk around cocky.
Yes, and there's some situations that you can't control it. Say you had a really good fight, matched up, and that fighter got injured, and here's a replacement fight. I get that, but 15 in a row, really? Like, those are like, the ones we're talking about. Like, I'm not past, a guy getting a can. There's situations where that happens, but I've turned down quite a few fights. I'm like, look, that guy's not on my level. There's no way he agreed to fight, and if he did, I'm gonna let him get some more experience before he fights me. Not that I'm the best, but I know he's not on my level. He's not. So some of these guys, they just want to fight. They sold tickets, whatever the.
Right.
Like, no, he signed a deal. I'm fighting. You got to know what you're facing, and it's disgusting that people are like, oh, I beat that. I killed the last 3 dudes. Yeah, because they didn't belong in there, and they had one arm, and they just got off the wheelchair. Come on, dude.
Yeah, this is something I've seen lately. With some of the promotions I've been on, and I was looking at some of the fight cards, and you're like 2-0 fighting a guy that's 1-9, and I've just seen some ridiculous numbers. Like, dude was 4-16, and I'm like, Jesus, like, where did they even find this guy? And the guy was the main event, and he looked like an amateur to me. Like, he literally looked like an amateur. And then he was the main event again on the next card. I'm like, man, they're just using this guy, I couldn't been anything else, because this guy looked so horrible to me. I'm like, man, I just couldn't believe it. Like, so.
And he ends up losing both of them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He got embarrassed. He's
the fill-in, to build this other fighter.
Yeah, he got stolen in 30 seconds. First time he got hit, he was like, fuck this, and you could tell he was like, I'm out, I'm done.
Yeah. I'm not past putting a 4-11 guy on a main event, but as an even fight, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right, with
why don't
another,
you build this guy up? Why don't you, get him another 4-11 guy? They're out there, obviously.
Yeah, there's plenty of them out there. Plenty of them.
If you want to build, why don't you build him to a win and be like, oh, this dude's coming off a win, and then challenge him, But to continuously throw that bum out there every single show is like, dude, what are you doing to your promotion? And
right.
I just don't think they have any value.
And then another amateur title fight, the guy he's fighting lost 2 in a row. Lost 2 fights in a row. Why are you fighting for a title now? What the fuck?
Yeah. It's because they know who they want their winner to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
And we get that all the time around here. It's like, you can tell normally who's going to win a fight. Like, you can tell that, it's not a challenge. The red corner is usually always going to win. That's how it's always going to be, except in my show. Like, the only reason, like, you can't even tell who's going to win in my show. Like, I mix my mind up so good that, I challenge my guys. So I have a gym and I challenge all my guys. I'm like, dude, you're not going to fight a turd. You're just not. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't care if you win or lose. That's your job. My job is to train you as a well-rounded fighter to better yourself. Your job is to go out there and put it together. So if they're always picking, Evolve Performance Center, Evolve MMA, you got it wrong, because I can guarantee 3 or 4 of my guys are going to lose. There's just no way that these guys are handpicking, winners. I just can't do it. It sickens me. It doesn't make that fighter any better.
I do like how, obviously you're going to have fighters fall out, but every time you post, you say, looking for a fighter 0-1 or 1-0 or 0-0. You always put restrictions, like, because you don't want a guy who's 10-0 and say, oh, I'll fight this guy who's first.
Which happens.
Fight. Yeah. So I like how that you match experience and not skill set.
Yes, it's all about experience to me. It's all about, like, the when you get in there, how was your experience? Was you miserable? I'm not saying the guy who knocking it off his bucket list, I'm not cherry picking his fights, anything like that. It's like, I want even fights. Like, it's your job to go out there and perform. It's my job to matchmake. That's it. And I want your experience, win or lose, to be amazing. But these guys, and just like you just said, is like, I'll even post it 1-0 or whatever, and this 5-1 guy shows up, he's like, I'll fight him, or even have better record than that. I'm like, dude, you've wrestled your entire life, you've been in a kickboxing gym, no. It's not happening. I can see the other way around, to where I have a 5-1 dude, and I reported that, and then a 1-0 guy comes out and is like, dude, I'll challenge him, and then I'll look at his fight and take off that experience. That's different. But a 5-1 calling out a 0-1, it ain't happening.
I was always taught you should always challenge yourself up, not challenge yourself down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're already up there and the challenge was there, okay. But I see promoters setting that exact fight up. It's like, I see it all the time, and I call people out and they get so mad. They're like, I don't care who I'm fighting. I don't care. I just told them to find me a fight. Dude, you're fighting a guy who's 3-12. Get out of here. You have 70 MMA fights. It happens all the time. I hate it. So they get mad at me because I call them out. Like, why don't you fight me? I ain't fighting you. All right, well, I guess.
So as a coach and a fighter, you have 2 aspects of your game. When you're coaching a fighter, do you focus more on game tape or fight tape in this instance, or do you focus on bettering their skills that need more work?
I hardly ever put a game plan together against the other guy. Like, I'll look, and this depends if they're pro or an amateur, what level of amateur they are. Definitely in the beginning, amateurs, I never look at game plans. I'd be like, this guy's a wrestler, or this guy's a jiu-jitsu guy, or he's a street fighter or freestyle fighter, whatever he is. I'll give him the base. But you never know what's going to happen. You really don't. Like if you came at me and like trying to figure out what type of fighter I am, I don't think you can. Like, I do different things, accordingly. But like majority of people, they'll come out and they'll throw a 1-2, and that's their start. So what we do is we set like in the first 30 seconds, the couple of different scenarios of what could happen and what you're supposed to do. From there on, just listen to your corner. You already know your game plan of, I'm great at this. So we're going to try to get you there. I don't ever want somebody to go in there and always think like, oh, he's a hard leg kicker. I got to watch out for his leg kicks. So the whole time you're watching out for leg kicks. You're not fighting your fight.
Yeah.
So I always make them better version of who they are. Let's go out there and make them fight your fight. Let's go out there and be first. Let's go out there and set the tone. Let's go out there and establish, dominance right away. And if you can't, we're going to get to this scenario by doing this. People are always like, all right, what am I going to do? I don't know what you're going to do. You're probably going to freeze up and fall down. I don't know. There's so many different things. You could be a great gym fighter and go out there and freeze every single time, or vice versa. You come into the gym and you look like a damn bum. You can't learn anything. And then you go into the gym or into the fight and you're amazing. It just clicks. So I don't ever like train them to, have certain game plans or certain things. I just make them better and be watching out for these things.
Yeah, like it's always good to fight your fight and not
their fight
to the other fighter.
Yeah. Sometimes your fight don't work. I had a guy last night, kind of disappointed, but he took all fight camp. He was like, oh, I'm going to exchange with this. I'm going to exchange with him. I exchange with him. Great. I don't want you to, but okay. And he pulled guard right away. I'm like, why did we pull guard? Why? You just got yourself in the worst position ever. Like the dude's now towering over you and he's, taking advantage of this. I know you're a jiu-jitsu guy, but why didn't we set that up? And if it was, I want to go to the ground right away, fine, but that wasn't what you told me during fight camp. So, we end up losing that fight, but, tell me what exactly you really want to do. If you want to get to the ground, let's have a better game plan. Let's do that, but don't say one thing because that's what I feel you're gonna go do, and I can't stop you from doing that. Because it's one-on-one. You're your own person once you get in that ring, and from there, it just things change. And I understand maybe he felt his power, maybe he felt the strength. I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to trick himself during camp. I don't know. Love to do to death, but we got to do better. So, and here's the other thing is because if you watch a fighter fight his last two fights and they look similar, that doesn't mean he didn't go back to the gym and work on the total opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this guy's got absolutely no ground, or he's not going to stand up. There's no way he's going to stand up with me. And surprise, he stands up with you, which happened to me in Bellator. My first Bellator fight. I always forget his name, but I watched all his fights. Like, Bellator calls me and they're like, hey, I want you to fight. And I'm like, great. I really want to fight this dude. They're like, no, we want to fight, one of these other guys. Fine. Give me the toughest dude. I find the toughest dude. He's a Minnesota wrestler, took state in high school wrestling, stud wrestler, but all of his fights stand up. Brilliant. That's what I'm looking for. Let's stand up and bang. What's he do right away? Takes me down. throws my whole game plan off. And so you can't go off of that. I make all the mistakes. Don't, learn off of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I go back to the gym as a learning experience. Like, look, we can't do that anymore. We can't think that this guy's going to stand up because he did his whole other fights, because look what this guy did. Maybe he found film on me that he didn't want to stand with me or whatever. I don't know what his game plan was, but it wasn't standing up, because he took me down and held me down for the first round. But it's it's not cool. So yeah, I don't ever tell a guy like, let's study this guy, and I watch film as a coach, and I say, okay, this is what he's capable of, and this was his go-to, but let's prepare and stop it or whatever.
So as a promoter, and you've seen a lot of fighters come in and out, like Drew Dober is one of them. When you get a fighter walking in your gym, do you just like see, oh, this guy has the potential to be a huge star? Or I know at your gym that you don't, obviously favorites, everyone gets their opportunity, unlike other gyms, but
can you tell when someone comes in that they're going to be good?
Yes. However, 98% of them walk out the door and you never see them again. I am heartbroken every week, because MMA gyms are a revolving door. Like, literally, they'll come in, they'll get their, if you get 6 months out of them, you're doing really good. So you'll get, the different, we'll get back to that, but the revolving door is real, and it exists, and it's for fighters, it's for gyms, it's for anything that involves MMA. Like, it's not a jiu-jitsu gym, it's not a taekwondo gym. And I'll get where I was getting at is they have programs. So they got set programs to be like, oh, we'll get your yellow belt or blue belt, in this certain amount of time. And we're going to build you up to this. And, we're going to get you in little competitions here and there. But your main goal is to belt up. And here's a stripe to keep you, focused on, where MMA doesn't have that. Your reward is getting punched in the eye and getting a black eye. That's your reward. Right. Nobody likes that reward. So to have somebody stick around for a long time, it's very rare. And
it's hard.
And have them stick around at your gym is even rarer. They're gonna think the next gym is much better, or they have a good fighter over here, so they want to go test their skills over there or whatever. Or you've as a coach have exhausted everything into that fighter. Like, you want to send him to a better place. I'm not the best gym, but I'm the best gym for somebody. Like, I'm going to teach you all the basics and everything I can teach you, and you're going to advance and go somewhere else. I'm not a black belt in anything. So, I'm a black belt in street fighting. I can teach you that all day long. But, if you want a black belt in jiu-jitsu, we have to go here, and we have to also learn that you're an MMA fighter. So gi fighting is only a small piece of MMA. Like, it's not, it just depends on where that individual wants to go. So sadly, yes, I know right away if you're an amazing athlete, and sadly, I'm going to lose you in approximately 3 weeks. Because life gets a hold of you, like kids, and like this, MMA is a tough sport, like, to stay in. Like, it's one of those grinding things where you got to go work 8 hours a day and come back to training. And like, this is my life. You have to actually like live this lifestyle.
Yep.
You really do. And your wife or your kids have to know that. Like, it's lonely. MMA is so lonely because, you have to give everything, and nobody understands why the fuck you're going and getting beat up every day. And and you're working this 9-hour job for this scumbag because you want to, provide. It's it's a horrible thing. MMA is horrible, and there's no way around it. You just have to know if you want to be a fighter or not. That's it.
Fuck yes. What advice? I'm a little bit older. I'm 38. What advice do you have for me and older athletes trying to compete with these younger dudes?
Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. 100%. Like, know who you are, and know if you belong in the elite. Know if you belong in the beginners, because you can not. I'm not saying a beginner as a.
Oh, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
As an experienced fighter, like, I'm just saying, like, there's a novice league. There's
for sure.
However,
there's levels.
However you want to categorize it, there's the I'll just say beginners, and then the intermediates, and then the advanced. Let's just use those three lanes. Know where you're at, and stick to your beliefs. Yes, I'm not going to beat these elite guys. Every once in a while, I'm going to challenge myself. There's no doubt in my mind that, I can challenge myself and do good. I had a goal to go fight this UFC vet. Do I belong in his league? No, I don't. I'm 46. I'll be 46 here in a month. Do I belong there? No. Was I going to win that fight? Off a puncher's chance? Maybe he got injured, whatever. Yes, there's a chance. But I didn't do it for that. I didn't do it for the win. I did it for the challenge. What am I doing as the challenge? But so I'm not saying don't go challenge yourself, but know what lane you belong in. Don't let promoters just use you. Are you doing it for money? And if you are, understand that money disappears a week after you get it. Yeah. Like, reality is like, you're not getting rich off of this. This sport is not one of those where, you're going to make $1 million and sit safely in the next 2 years. It's not like that. Like, you have to grind. You have to get beat up. You have to, get lucky sometimes. So the money, unless you're getting a bunch of sponsors and a bunch of ticket sales and a bunch of followers, you're not making money. So if you love fighting, know what lane you belong in and know what your goals are. Stay in your lane. Every once in a while, challenge yourself, but don't let a promoter talk you into anything over money, because again, that might have paid your bills that month, but you might got injured. So, back to the drawing board. Now you're injured and you can't work. And I'm not trying to deter anybody from fighting. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. Is like, not to you or just the regular guy listening. Is like, man, there's no money in it. You're going to get injured. It's longevity, or you got to like sacrifice everything. But and the reality is like, the last 20 years I've sacrificed everything. And when I got with my girl, 10 years ago, I let her know, like, this is my life. Like, there's no way around it. Like, 100% full time. This is my life. And, we've adjusted since, but, when you're with a family, they have to understand that they have to be on board and supportive, and, there's injuries and if there isn't, I've been lucky. I've only had 2 injuries, through my whole career. One was a broken rib and one is a torn labrum, which I have now. Other than that, I haven't had injuries, and they don't happen super often, but they do happen. Broken hands all the time. Broken eye sockets, you're getting punched in the eye, arm bars, they could break your arm, but, majority of that doesn't happen. That's where the ref is safety. But training, if you don't have a good coach or a good partner, there's those guys in the gym too. They just, if you don't have a good, like, I'm a really good coach to where, like, okay, you're a beast, you don't know it, so you're not sparring with these guys. Like, I have to bring you down 1,000 notches before I can let you, get in with these guys, because you're going to injure one of them. I don't need that. So, surround yourself by positive people who know you, who have your best interest in the heart. As far as telling guys like you what path to follow. just know who you are. That's the biggest thing is, what lane do you belong in, and stick around there so you have your chances to win, to succeed and be successful. I'm not saying like fight all the bums in the world, but fight all the bums in the world. If that's the lane you're in, fight them. Stay in that lane. If you're in the middle lane, stay in that lane. Every once in a while you can go backwards to get a warm-up fight, but don't always stay in the main event lanes because you're not a main event. Make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's how it is.
So you brought up two great points. One about pay, because a lot of people just think, they see Conor McGregor, on yachts, and they're like, oh, I can make a lot of money if I do this, which is not the true case. But you also said fighters, getting hurt in the gym. As a promoter and a coach and a gym owner, what would you like to see in the game to not eliminate, but maybe alleviate some of the injuries that happen in camps and in gyms?
Every gym is different, so it's not something I want to see any different. I'm sure most coaches have the best interest, and they're doing everything right. They've done it a million times, so it's nothing that I want to see any different in the gyms, because injuries happen. I mean, you're in the hurt sport. There's what I don't want to see is two knuckleheads who aren't in a or belong to a gym, and they're sparring 3 days before a fight.
Unnecessary injury.
That's silly. And the reason I don't mind injuries in the gym and stuff like that as a coach or a promoter or anything like that is because you could easily fall down the steps, hurt yourself. You can get in a car accident. I just had a guy get in a car accident last night that's on my next card. And I know it's real. I had a guy who was, and this happened last night too, was protecting, his friend's girlfriend by being, domestic violence, and he just got beat up. Which why it all happened last night, I have no idea. I had another fight last night. He was supposed to fight my show also, and he's not going to be able to because he took too many blows to the legs. So he's not going to be able to heal in time. But, those things happen. I'm not, as far as injuries, like in the gym or anything, most gyms or most gyms with experience know that you have to slow down, getting closer to the fight. If you're going to spar, some fights are sparring 2 weeks out. I do a week out because I want you prepared. Have we had injuries? Yes. Out of 10 years of coaching, I've only seen maybe 3 guys ever withdraw from our hell week, which is a week before the fight. And it's really hell because you're getting beat up. Like literally you're getting prepared to be in a war. So as far as what do I want to see from the other gyms or anything to prepare themselves better, it's not that common. I mean, it looks common for the big main events that are out there, like UFC and Bellator, like, oh, he got injured during it really doesn't happen that often. And if it does, it could have been something that was nagging them for years, and then it just popped. It just became the fruitation, and it hurts a little more now. So injuries, they come and go. If you come into a fight camp 100%, you didn't train, or you go into the fight, 100% you didn't train.
Yeah.
You're going to have injuries. You're going to have, soreness. You're going to have, worries and stuff like that. The biggest thing is mentally, where are you at mentally? Physically, your coach has got you there. Where are you at mentally now? So that's the thing. And, there's deaths in families, and there's, somebody just got cancer or a terminal illness or whatever. where are you at mentally? Do you belong in this fight? Should we pull you? Are you sure? Those are just as important as physical, and people don't understand that. You can lose a fight to a guy you beat 10 times, and you could get smashed mentally. You can get smashed in that fight because your mental wasn't there or somewhere else. So, you really have to be well balanced. And again, like I said, I want to touch bases is know yourself. And I don't ever, get mad at a fighter for knowing himself if he backs out. What I get mad at is a fighter signing up 3 months prior to and not doing a damn thing up until fight day and
not coming to practice, not showing up.
Nothing.
Yeah, like, dude,
and then they back out. They're like, oh, I didn't get my blood work. Yeah, but you signed up 3 months ago. You had an opportunity. I kept on you. You're like, Tim, I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. Next week never comes. How serious are you? Those are the guys that piss me off.
Why do you think that happens? Like when a guy, especially has a big fight, a title fight, even a main event fight, and he doesn't come to train. Do you think there's like reasoning behind it? Is he having like second thoughts? You think? Is it because he's?
I honestly think it's an excuse if they lose.
It's their pre-built-in excuse.
Mental.
And I've used it. I've used it plenty. Although majority of my fights are, short notice. Those that I've had opportunities to have fight camps, I've taken advantage of it most of the time. But, I'm like, so, I'll use that excuse. It's like, dude, I never had a fight camp. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have, and I used it at the very beginning, it's like, if I would have had a fight camp, I wouldn't have lost half of the fights I lost, and so I think some of it is a built-in excuse. I think some of it is adjusting. I think, mine is an excuse because I own a gym. So, but I also train fighters versus train myself. Like I can't actually go into the gym and train them and train myself at the same time.
Right.
So I have to pick one or the other majority of the time. But I think a lot of it has to do with, what's my excuse going to be? Or am I going to go out there and still lose after putting in all this work? Their mental is, I did all this, man, I should have won. Yeah, you should have, but you didn't. It wasn't your night. That doesn't mean don't go do it again, because it's gonna, you're gonna be on the opposite side next time. But I really think majority of the time, if you had an opportunity to fight, that certain somebody, and you could make the weight. You could, a lot of it's weight too. Like, oh my God, why are you walking around at 170 and trying to fight at 135? It's beyond me. You can't make that.
A lot, yeah.
But yeah, I got a little enemy out there right now, that Alonzo Martinez, stud fighter, stud wrestler, but he won't ever make weight. Like, I'm not going to subject myself to a full fight camp, and you're not going to make the weight. There's just not it. If you come in 2 pounds, even 0.2 pounds over, like, I have to treat it as a professional fight. Not that I'm scared of you, because I'll fight you right here at the weigh-ins, but I'm going to take my money and make you be professional like I was. You know what I'm saying? Not that I haven't fought guys 20 pounds over, because I have, and I beat the crap out of them. But it's more of like, we have this beef of, you want to fight me, but you're not going to have the advantage. You know what I'm saying? You might as well just come 20 pounds over.
Yeah.
This isn't like, we were scheduled to fight. We don't know each other, and you happen to miss weight. Fuck it. I already put in work, but this is a beef. You want beef on the street, or you want beef in the cage.
You got to come correct.
Yeah. Like, come right or don't come. you know, because I'm gonna collect my money because I was professional. And now you're gonna sit on the sideline calling me a pussy because I didn't fight you, and I'm okay with that. You know, if you want to be professional, make the weight and let's bang it out because I ain't scared of you. It's, you know, but you're not getting an advantage.
That way, more. A lot of people don't realize, but the weight is a huge advantage. It really is. I mean, just
it
being
definitely can
10
be
pounds,
100%.
pounds.
So
it's recovery. It's everything. Like all that makes a huge difference, and people don't understand that. You know, they're like, "Oh, I can make that, no problem." Yeah, but can you recover? I never recovered.
Oh man, recover. You know? Yeah. That's why so many fighters like Shanna Young dropped out because she was sick, and they don't realize, man, it taxes your body. You literally get sick from cutting weight. You know?
Yeah, like, it's miserable. It's miserable, especially those last 5 pounds.
Yeah.
Do you think like Paddy Pimblett is in the news all the time because, you know, he blows up, he's at like 50 pounds heavier than what he actually fights at. Do you think he does that? One, he said he loves food, but also to help, you know, with recovery, and he can clearly make the weight, but he probably can't make a career doing that. Do you think that affects fighters blowing up after a fight?
It will catch up, and eventually he won't be able to lose that weight anymore. Like he's gonna have to move up weight classes. Mm-hmm. The good thing about him is he's young, like 18 to 28. You're probably good at losing weight. Like your body's used to it, whatever, and then you become a mental adult. for males, you mentally become, you know, stable. And your body doesn't agree with that. Like you're like your body, you transfer your athletics body skill for your mental, you know, skill. And so your body's not doing what your mental wants you to do because your mental's stronger than your body, if that all makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, the older you get, the smarter you get, and your body doesn't react well. That's just, you know, where I'm kind of getting.
My body won't do what I want it to do.
Like, right.
In my head, I'm like, dude, I think I can punch this dude quick as hell. But
yeah, that ain't working like you used to. Is he really losing 50 pounds? I don't know, but I will tell you, he's got a great nutritionist if he does. If he's doing it like that. Like
you think some of it might be an exaggeration?
Yeah, he's not weighing 50 pounds the next day. There's no way. Yeah. So right. Is he starting at fight camp at 200 pounds? Maybe. But he's already, like, the nutritionist is already breaking him down. By the time he's 2 weeks out, he's within 6 or 7 pounds. Like there's, you know, and he's doing it correctly and whatever. He's not just losing what, like me, I lose 15 pounds in one day. Like I'm hitting the sauna, I'm bagging it up, you know, we're Abilene in it and we're doing it the wrong way and we're not recovering correctly. We're nowadays, because that's how I grew up. You know, I didn't grow up in these nutritionists and these, you know, these guys who've been around the block now. I didn't grow up with those people. I grew up with what I knew, and the wrestling room was like, put a bag on, go cut weight, go run or whatever. We hit the sauna for 5 hours, you know, like that is not healthy. And then recovering from that because you lost 15 pounds. You know, I used to walk around at 160 and took a couple 145 fights just because, like, people are like, oh, you can make 45, you're walking around at 160. All right, I'll do it. You know, so I would lose that weight and I never recovered. Not that I couldn't fight, but it took me 2 or 3 rounds to warm up because, you know, my body isn't reacting right. So I'm not real big on the weight cut thing. And I tell my guys when I match make, is like, what are you walking around at? Are you walking at 185 and you want to fight what? 155? Okay. You know, that's your desired weight, you know, class. But I have another 185 who wants to cut that too. Why don't you guys just meet at 70? Hello, you want to cut weight, but why am I as a promoter, you know, making you both cut that weight? I think it's silly. I think it's like you're both cutting the same amount or around the same amount. Why don't you just do a catch weight? You know, let's not do that weight cut crap. It's just it blows my mind that people do that, and I don't. Sometimes it's advantage, and sometimes it ain't.
I like ONE FC. I don't like how they moved the weight classes up, like bantamweight's 145. But I like how they have restrictions on you can only cut a certain percentage of your weight, and I think that it's good and it allows longevity for these fighters.
And it keeps the fights easy. Like, dude, you're in fight camp to fight. You're not in fight camp to lose weight. Like that little bit of advantage may or may not help you, but I don't think so. Like legitimately, it could drain you. And those people are doing it right, fine. But not everybody can do it that way. And I just don't, put everybody on the same level, and I'm beating most of you guys up. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, we are going to go out there and we're going to be even, and I can fight. Like, at the end of the day, like, let's see who's better at fighting. Not better at cutting weight, not better at who,
playing the game.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's the game. We're not in the fighting. We're in the hurt sport, but we're in a chess match. And whoever plays chess better, that's really who's going to win. I don't like it as a fighter. I like it as a challenge. So
I like how you mentioned chess, because I always, MMA is like chess. You make one move, you got to know what 3 moves you have to now prepare for.
Yep. You always stay 3 steps ahead, always. And unfortunately, you get punched in the mouth, and now you're one step behind again. So now you got to make up 4 steps. MMA is a crazy sport to be involved in. Again, I love it because it's challenging. My mom always said, "You're the challenging kid." Yeah, because I don't want to just walk through this, because I'm going to. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make the room shine, and that's easy. What's my challenge in life is, dude, you got to watch out for kicks, punch, elbows, knees, takedowns, triangle chokes, arm bars, omoplatas. Like, you have to challenge yourself. This is, and if you make one wrong move, it might not lead you to that submission the next time, but it's going to lead you here to here, and then you get submitted. So, because there's only so many moves you're going to move from there. And that's the beauty of this sport, is be on the chess level, not the checkers.
Yes. So you've been fighting a while. Do you still get nervous when you have when you're walking out or getting ready for a fight? And if so, how do you calm those?
You can't calm those.
Good answer, though.
I've never been able to calm my nerves. They're like, okay, you're good. You've done this a million times. What are you doing? And you're like, I can't move. Like, what's going on? Like, and you're human. Like, if you're not getting nervous, something's wrong with you. Like, you're getting ready to get punched in the face, and you're not nervous about that. Not every fight I was nervous. And in some fights I was more nervous than others. This last fight, I had no nerves, because I already knew what my game plan was. Like, I only had to survive, 1 round with the top dude. And if I didn't, you know what? He was one of the top dudes with a black belt. I'm not, my biggest thing is don't get knocked out. Don't get knocked out. Don't get knocked out. So don't let him hit you. Cool. That's easy. There was one fight that I was fighting a guy on did he really belong in the cage with me? I don't believe so, but it just happened. And man, I think I was the most nervous out of any fight I've ever been in. And I think it's more of like, because you don't know the outcome. I'm only nervous because I don't know what the outcome is. I'm not really afraid to get punched in the face. I've been punched in the face. I'm not afraid to get kicked. I'm not afraid to get taken down. I'm not afraid to get submitted. I'm afraid of what the outcome is. What is the damn outcome? That's, I think, I really think that's what most people's, like, without them actually understanding it, is I think that's why they're most nervous. Is, dude, I know how to take a punch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm okay with that. Will I freeze up? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. You know, but what is the damn outcome? That's what I want to know. And you want to know it now, you know, because you're going to know it. It's going to happen. Let's manifest it. But you're nervous because you don't know that. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel I am. It's like, let's just get this over with. So, you know, I'm not afraid of you. What is who won and how? That's it. You know, I'm not afraid to go back to my friends and family and be like, you know what, I lost, or bam, I did great, you know, whatever. I'm not afraid of that because I know who I am and I'm comfortable with that. It's how did it end? During the fight, I don't care if I get beat up. How did it end? Did I win? That's how I want to know if I won. I'm okay with getting beat up, but you know, because I'm in a fight game. But how did this fight end? That's where I think I'm more nervous about.
So, as a promoter, this is some would say controversial, but as a promoter, you probably get a little blowback for, you know, bad judging, or fans and fighters see the fight went a different way than the scorecards. What are your thoughts on like open scoring?
I 100% would love open scoring. 100%. It calls the judges out, and it kind of gives it gives the corner man, you know, the real, you know, you're not pumping your fighter up to saying, hey, we won that round, when in reality you fucking got your ass whooped.
Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
You're doing good.
So I don't ever want it. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. That whole corner man crap, that exact fight. Oh my God. I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Are you really kidding me? She's not doing very good. You need to switch it up right now. Switch it up right now. Come on, you're better than this. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. But I think open scoring would be, you know, definitely different, and it keeps reality, you know. Unfortunately, like in boxing, you have plenty of rounds to come back, you know, but in MMA, you have 3 rounds total, where if you lost the first 2, now are you careless? You know, does it make your fighter careless? Is it? So, you know, I think, you know, you'll have to get used to it, you know, as a corner man, especially if you're losing, your fighter's losing, you know, like, look, you know, you gotta lay it all out there, you know, and you can get your guy hurt or knocked out, or, you know, or is he just out there surviving? You know, I don't. I'm on.
It's almost good and bad, huh?
Yeah, it gives both aspects of it, and that's with anything. But you know, you get used to it if that's. And I thought about doing the open scoring at my event, and I've talked to my commission, and I can't remember what we went over, but I kind of. I didn't really forget about it, but I let it go. I think because we don't have open scoring right now. So
I can't remember what I read in the rules, but there's a way to do it. You just have to file for it with the commission, right?
I think every commission is different. So maybe, and I don't think my commission would have a problem with it. It's how would you do that?
Yeah, but you have to be approved for it. You can't just do open scoring. You can't just decide to do it, right? You can't. Yeah.
I don't. Again, like because the commission gets those results before anybody else, you would definitely have to go through the commission.
Right.
So, and maybe they don't want to do that because the safety of the judges. You know what I'm saying? Like if the crowd doesn't agree with this certain judge, they're going to jump him afterwards.
Yeah, right.
So maybe it's safety of the judges. Maybe that's what he said subconsciously. That's what I'm thinking, but you never know.
I can see that, for sure.
Because judges do make bad calls.
Like, dude, sell the motto.
Refs. Yeah. Some people are just clowns like that. They don't belong in the game, but the commission doesn't understand that. They just assign people when it's your livelihood. Like, I really think, like, you made a bad judgment, and now my guy has to pay for it because I've had to pay for it plenty of times. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, it's a toss-up. There's good and bad. I wouldn't mind it again if we had safety nets, in place for our people.
What if they could do open scoring, but just have it like
without names?
Yeah, just judge 1, judge 2, judge 3.
Yeah, and then mix them up.
Yeah.
You don't know who Judge 1 was because now he's Judge 3.
Right.
Yeah, I don't get backlash as far as a promoter. I think your original question was, do I get backlash?
Yeah.
As a promoter, I don't think I do because I keep everything open. I'm an open book. Like, I go out there and I tell all the, and I explain it in the fighters meeting. I explain it at the gym. I explain it when I set them up to fight. Like, I don't hide anything. And I'm like, look, don't leave it to the judges because judges suck. And if the referee makes a bad call, it's because he fucking sucks too. And he probably doesn't become a judge, a referee anymore. And this guy will let you fight a little longer. This guy will call it a little early. I let these fighters know because, again, I've been in those positions as a fighter. And I don't ever want them to go, I didn't really lose that fight. Yeah, but you let them decide. Right. And as a judge, because I'm a judge also, you only see certain things. Like, there's the ref could have been in the way, or the angle of where you're sitting is in the way. Sometimes I have to look at a big screen if it's there. But just the angle definitely changes your thoughts compared to the guy across the cage from you, where he's seen everything clearly. I try my best to understand everything. I really do. Like, I want to see everything. Judging, they need more frequent judging classes. They need more training classes. They need more I think they need more coaches classes to get even deeper into it. It's like, you can't even become a cornerman or a coach unless you go through these classes and know what the fuck you're talking about, because you're going to get your fighter hurt, or you're agreeing to a fight that shouldn't be, even on the fight card. It blows my mind. So,
you have to have a cornerman's license in Nebraska?
You do, but it really is $20 and then that's it.
It used to not. It's so weird. It used to not. When I was fighting 10 years ago, you didn't have to have a corner's license. So that's new to me. When I'm fighting again now, I'm like, you have to have a corner's license?
Oh yeah.
Illinois. That's new.
When I fought in Illinois, I think the cornerman's license was like $50 or $100.
$50 in Colorado.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just a cornerman.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that fighters have to pay. Ours is only $20 a year, which is fine. But if you'd only fought once, $20 to these bums. I wouldn't say bums. Like majority of fighters don't have a lot of money.
Right.
I didn't mean to use bum, but $20 is a lot of
poor.
money. Yeah, they're poor. So sometimes the promoter has to cover it, and they're like, I'm not going to invest in you unless I see some effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you go get your blood work on time? Did you send me pictures on time? Did you, are you selling tickets? Those guys that I'll help 90% of the time. It's the guys who, promise me that they're going to do this and that, and they have 3 months that they ain't get nothing done. No, I'm not helping you the last minute. No, I'd rather replace you.
That makes sense. Yeah. I thought it was cool. I tried to jump in for a fight, but it didn't happen because it was too last minute. And they paid for my blood work. They paid for all that stuff. I thought that was really cool. I'm like, man, this promotion is good promotion. Even though the fight didn't happen, they didn't have to pay me.
Right.
So I just thought it was cool. So
was it a fair fight, or was a?
Oh, it was the fight I got my ass kicked in. Yeah, in my last fight.
So here's the problem with that is I'll offer to set somebody up also. If it costs me a couple $100,
it was worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it to make sure my guy, got, I wouldn't say it was an easy fight, but he sold a shit ton of tickets. He's my go-to guy, and I'm gonna get him, what I can.
And now he's fighting for the title.
Again,
right. I feel like I could have beat the dude though. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe with a full camp you can. Maybe, I don't know. Like right. I'm not past getting out of my lane. I'm not past taking that challenge again. Like we went over that many times. Just know where you're at, and it is cool, but know the reasoning also. Would he have paid for your blood work if it was an even fight 2 months out?
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, is he investing in me because he believes in me? Right. Or is he investing in me because he needs me? Those are two different, it's cool that you didn't have to pay for anything, but on the flip end is why?
Right. Now that you
would
say
he have
that,
still done
like,
that
oh.
if he, if he didn't actually need you?
Probably not.
How he needed you. So I'm gonna perk. Here's a perk. You know what I'm saying? This ain't gonna come out of your pocket. I'll give you a little extra bonus, food voucher, whatever. And they're like, oh my God, he gave me a food voucher. Yeah, right. He's buttering you up to make it look like I'm a great promoter, when in reality is like, you're getting your ass kicked tomorrow night and I'm going to enjoy it. So 2 different ways to look at it. I'm not saying don't say he's not a great promoter, because maybe he is, and he needed you to fill in. And, in order for you to fill in is like, look, I'm going to take care of you. Nothing's going to come out of your pocket, but understand that you're getting set up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
We both know you ain't going to win. Hopefully, you go out there and do good. And if you pull out a miracle, great. But we both know you ain't going to win.
For sure.
So it's perspective.
Hell yeah.
So I hate to do this, but I got to get my doggy ready for his date today.
They look like they're getting crazy back there.
Yeah. So do you have any sponsors you would like to thank, or any shout outs for your upcoming event, September 2nd at CHI Health parking lot?
Health Center. Yep. Health Center. It's CHI Health Center out in the parking lot. We're going to do an outdoor show. So it's going to be, it's my annual outdoor event. It's under a huge tent, so we don't have to worry about like rain, snow, or shine. We got a live performer. This is our second time doing it. We're bringing out a musician to do a rap, for a 45-minute set before the fight start, and then during the intermission. I've been doing this. This is my 132nd event, so this is my only second time doing it. But I'm more and more experienced than I was back then. Like to bring other artists on. So King Crime will be performing. Shout out to South Omaha's finest tequila bar for our after parties. Hollow Point, Fight Gear, Auto World is our car salesman. Big Brain Tattoos, Soldier Sports. I know I'm gonna forget a few of them, but as far as sponsors, I'm not. They help us keep going, and they keep us alive. But shout out to the fighters. You know what I'm saying? If you can't make it out, Omaha Fight Club.tv is our pay-per-view, and hopefully we'll put on another successful event.
If you can make it out, go see it.
Yes,
it's a good experience.
There's nothing like watching a fight live.
It's most people are like, I'm not invested in the MMA world because I don't know what's going on or I don't know a fighter. That's the key, is go to a fight without knowing anything and pick out your favorite fighter. Watch them grow. I can give you names, but again, like, they might not be your favorite fighter that night. And they're like, I've heard the name, but that's not exactly what I was looking for. But you saw another guy. So if you don't have a favorite fighter or somebody you're going to watch, go there and get the experience, number one, of a live event, and then find your favorite fighter and follow them. And maybe they'll fight, different venues or different promotions or whatever, and you're just watching them steadily grow, and hopefully they make it to that next level, because I did.
Awesome. Yes. And this has been an amazing interview. Tim has so much knowledge because he's been in the game for so long. Man, you've had so much to say. We really appreciate you coming on today. Our fighter spotlight videos are our most watched videos. People love getting to know the fighters, getting to know more in depth about you. Man, I love doing it. I think we both had a really great time. I mean, you can tell we went for 2 hours.
That's crazy.
It was just so amazing. Yeah. And it just flew by. So, we really appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to do this.
Absolutely. I woke up for this. I was still sleeping.
I really appreciate it.
Actually still in bed.
Yeah, we are extremely grateful. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on our podcast. We look forward to your next show. I know I'm going to check it out. Hopefully we can get some more people to check it out with me.
Yeah. Awesome. You guys are awesome. I'll come on anytime. And next time, hopefully I can bring a fighter in and we can interview him and I can help blow him up.
We are down to do that.
Definitely.
Anytime. Yeah, just let us know. Yeah,
awesome.
We would love to have you back on for sure. So.
Good deal.
Two Dudes in a Cage, Fighter Spotlight, Tim Bazer.